last in D's cotton. Let's bring him in. Mr. Oliver Slope, Blue Line Futures in Chicago. Oliver, thanks for being on. All right. What are your thoughts here as we kind of wrap up the day?
Well, there's a lot going on, not just in the agricultural space, but the outside markets as well. And that's something that's really caught our eye through this week, as it seemed to be a common theme across commodities. And I know a lot of the talk in the first half of the week was on the rally in soybeans being attributed to weather in South America. And although that is important to keep a close eye on, I think more of it is probably attributed to the stimulus package that we've seen released in China, and that kind of spurring some buying momentum in a lot of commodities. We look at copper, that's a perfect example of it. And I think the thought was that would be beneficial to soybeans as well, and rightfully so. However, we are staring down a big report on Monday, a quarterly stocks report. I think that could potentially be a reminder that we've still got some stocks to chew through. And looking at South America, yes, it's hot and dry, but it's still the hot and dry season, and the back half of October looks to turn a little bit more wet. And if that's realized, they have the potential for a good crop as well. So if I'm a producer, I would be looking at using some of these rallies as opportunities to layer in some protection for next year's crops.
So you're not worried. I mean, it's if we trade higher, it's going to be steady, a little bit higher. Maybe we break from there. You're not really worried about a spike of any sort.
I'm not super worried about a big upside spike unless we do get some serious weather concerns down in South America. But I don't know that I'd be hanging my hat on a weather rally, a meaningful one at this point. Corn, I'm a little bit more optimistic on. Demand has been really stout through much of this year's trade, which has been encouraging. So I think corn, you can make the case that we found a little bit of an equilibrium and could potentially rally from these levels. Soybeans is still not on that bull train just yet.
All right, great stuff. Stay right there. We're going to go away. We're going to pay some bills. We're going to come back and talk more with Oliver Slope. He's with Blue Line Futures up in Chicago. We'll be right back after this. Let's bring back in Oliver Slope. He's got 60 seconds to tell us everything he knows about the livestock market.
Well, it's the cattle trade has been a little bit of a roller coaster here today, and I think a lot of it translates with what we've seen in the grain markets. We saw corn come into the day on a higher open, and that put pressure on cattle right away, and you kind of saw that reverse a little bit, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that continue to be the case. Now, we talked about being optimistic on corn. If corn can carve out a little bit of a harvest low here in the next couple of weeks, I wouldn't be surprised to see that be a headwind for the feeder cattle market. Live cattle, I'm a little bit more optimistic on. Seasonally, we continue to see pretty good demand, so I think that probably keeps a floor in things. Again, feeders, a little bit more concerned about.
And any worries that the outside markets could affect these prices? I mean, we're pretty high, and when they do, they do have decent rug pulls in some of these contracts.
We're pretty high. I think we've priced in a lot of optimism on this Chinese stimulus. So if some of that air gets sucked back out, that could potentially open up the downside a little bit, but time will tell. Also on the hog side, real quick, hogs and pigs report after the close, so we'll be keeping an eye on that.
Good point. Great point. All right, appreciate you coming on, Oliver. Thanks for taking the time. I know you're busy. Oliver Slope, he's with Blue Line Futures up in Chicago. Bring it back down here to